I still got concerns. I still do. I watched the Eagles yesterday in Arizona. First couple drives, touchdown. Look good.
Look easy.
After that, it started to look very, very, very difficult. I was scrolling through the Eagles' social media, and I saw Jalen Hurts, most rushing touchdowns of any quarterback in his first 25 starts, surpassing Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, all of the above.
Sound like greatness to me.
Greatness. And then I said, wait a second. You got a Heisman Trophy winning wide receiver on one side. You got a $100 million receiver on the other side. You got a second-round tight end right there next to you, and we only have 4 passing touchdowns on the year. I said, okay, I'm not going to discount everything that Jalen Hurts does with his legs. I love it. And more than anything, he just gets it done. I showed it today on my social media. But I got a little worried when we're driving while they're flying. I got a little worried when I'm like, wait a second. I love these rushing yards, these rushing statistics, but my concern is eventually we are working too hard to get ours. I want us to get ours, us being the Philadelphia Eagles, easier. Do you still have concerns about your Philadelphia Eagles?
Still have concerns. You said, do I still have concerns? I never had concerns, right? And my thing is, we're 5-0. It's the NFL. This is not like high school. It's the best of the best. We're winning games at home. We're winning games on the road. That's hard to do. You speak of the passing the ball, right? But I don't think the wide receivers are complaining because they both have big games. Passing the ball, 160-something yards, 170-something yards. They getting the ball in the air. And the last point, because you always try to throw that in there about him not, like, throwing the ball as much, is, like, running and throwing, that's the same thing. If Brady goes out there and gives me 350 yards passing, and Jalen comes down and gives you 350 yards combined from running and passing, it's the same thing. We winning games. In Philadelphia, it's all about winning. They're not worried about all the touchdowns and all that. We getting busy. 5-0. 5-0.
Joy, any concerns about the Eagles?
I mean, he also had 2 touchdowns.
He did.
He didn't want to mention that.
So it's not like they were running the ball and he didn't also score. Like, he's also scoring. So to your point about, not just Tom Brady, could be anybody, but, like, for your example, Tom Brady, if he throws 2 touchdown passes or he runs for 2 touchdown passes, do they still count for the same amount of
points? They count.
Mm-hmm. They do.
They sure do.
They count.
So Jalen's doing it all. I can't be... I was never concerned about the Eagles either. I picked the Eagles to win the division. I thought they would be better than they were last year. They were good last year. They've improved. Jalen has improved his passing numbers significantly this year. I feel like we have to point to Jalen because everything else is so complete. Like, I have no concerns at all. I'm not concerned about Jalen either. I like that he is a dual threat quarterback. I like that he's not afraid to use his legs. I like that he's dynamic, and they're winning. And this game against the Arizona Cardinals, and I keep telling myself the Cardinals are better than they look. Maybe I just need to let that go. And most of that end of that game was terrible clock management. I mean, just a disaster. We're not even going to talk about that. But they were in that game.
Yeah.
So Arizona can't really be that bad. Like, they still have things they need to clean up. This was a good win on the road for Philadelphia. So, no, I have nothing to poke holes in. I can't wait for this game. I need to, like, fast forward.
No, yeah, I don't want to do this. I just want to go to Sunday night. I think, okay, concerns is a loaded word. Like, I think the Eagles are one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the league. I think they're the best team in the NFC right now. And in a year where parity is more out of control than ever, I think that's worth noting. Like, I'm not sure how many great teams there even are in the NFL. Yeah. Like, where would you draw the line? Like, I go Kansas City, Buffalo, then a little bit below them, just slightly below them, I'd probably put Philly. And then that's probably it right now, honestly. Like, I think there's a pretty clear delineation. All of this to say, and yeah, I put Kansas City and Buffalo above the Eagles right now, despite their records. And my thing is, what can the Eagles do when they're off schedule? Like, when things break down and get out of control. They're wonderful at running the ball. They might be the best screen team in the NFL.
Yes, they are.
Like, the way they get the ball to Dallas Goedert and their receivers out wide, stuff like that. When they are getting yards on 1st and 2nd down, setting themselves up in manageable situations, it looks amazing. When they get stuffed and wind up in a 2nd and 8, or a 2nd and 8 turns into a 3rd and 12, it can get dicey. Jalen Hurts made one really amazing throw yesterday. I think they were down near their own end zone.
3rd and 13.
3rd and 13. Dime. But what did he do? He broke contain, got outside the pocket, and bought himself time. Can he do that when there's a blitz coming? Can he do that from within the pocket? That's what I've always wondered about Jalen Hurts. And I think if you play the right defense, like maybe the Dallas Cowboys, that could be a problem.
As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I'm sold. I'm all in. I'm good. But fan is fanatic.
Right.
As a defensive player, I look at the Eagles and I'm like, yeah, you don't scare me. That's the difference. Like, is somebody who's looking from the mind of DeMeco Ryans, defensive coordinator for the 49ers. I was raised under DeMeco Ryans. We shared a linebacker room, obviously, as you know, in Philadelphia for the last 3 years. I'm like, no, you don't scare me. If I played defense for the Cowboys, I'd be like, yeah, Jalen Hurts, congrats on your 1-yard rushing touchdowns. But as a passer, no, you don't scare me. If I'm sitting there and I'm Trayvon Diggs, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's cute, scrambling and whatnot, but no, you don't scare me. That is where I'm coming from with my concerns. My concerns come from the mind of a former NFL defender who really just made a living taking notes for the starters. They don't come from the mind of a fanatic. Talk to me.
So I guess I would say this. When you go into a game as a defensive coordinator, right, and you're trying to defend the Eagles, it's a lot to defend.
It is.
You got to worry about him running the ball, keeping the ball. Nick is doing a great job of, like, making creative type plays. Like, it's so much going on. Like, I watched one play with Dallas Cowboys. He had a screen to him. It was 2 screens on the other. It was 1 screen on the other side. It was either a screen to a wide receiver screen or he threw it back to the tight end. Like, stuff like that, you got to defend. One thing about the Eagles' offense, you have to defend the whole field. And not only just throwing the ball, but running it. You get the ball to the running back or Jalen can run it. So you say it don't scare you, but as a defense, it's a lot more to game plan than going against the Rams. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
You probably have, I think Cooper Kupp is probably the best receiver. One of the best receivers in the game, right? But that's one guy. In Philadelphia, we got 2 dogs on the outside, a great tight end, a solid backfield, and our quarterback can run. So when you defend the Eagles, it's a lot you got to watch after.
You've been all in on the Eagles since day one. Why?
One, I feel like they had a solid resume last year to build on, and having rollover with a foundation matters, especially for a young quarterback. I saw Jalen improve. The playoff game wasn't something I felt like we should take too much from. He's a young guy against a very good Bucs team. And I like Jalen Hurts. Like, I don't see Jalen Hurts' running ability as a negative. I don't get that. Like, it's like, oh, like, he runs the ball. Yeah, so what? Like, he doesn't just run the ball, he does it well. He is strategic. He's fast. He's elusive. He knows when to get down. And he is also delivering the ball as well. I don't need you to be this elite Peyton Manning in the pocket passer all the time. We want dual threat quarterbacks. To Shady's point, it makes it more difficult on the defense when you know that the quarterback can do what he just did in that highlight and can also run the ball. That makes things difficult. But my question to you about, what scares you if you're a defensive player, that's all good and fine. But if I'm the Eagles going against the Cowboys and I'm that Eagles defense, who might not be the Cowboys defense, but it's still a really good defense,
yes, it is.
What you got that scares me?
Yeah. Nothing.
Ooh.
Nothing. If I may,
2 times.
Now that defense, that defense scares me. That defense will check the Eagles' offense a bit, I believe. It'll make things more difficult. But then you got to answer on the other side. We might not have exactly what Dallas' defense has, but that's my point about the Eagles.
Question.
It is.
They are a complete team. You got to answer, and Dallas hasn't had to do that yet.
That's why I think this game is so evenly matched. And I don't want to forecast too much. It truly is Monday. But, Dave, I actually disagree with you when you talk about brackets in the NFL. You said Chiefs, you said Bills, you said Eagles, then you said, I don't really think anybody else. I would go Chiefs, I would go Bills, then I would go Eagles, Niners, Cowboys. And I would put all of them, to me, in a similar bracket. When I look at the Niners, I'm like, you know what? I don't see a ton of deficiencies. Elite pass rusher, Nick Bosa. Elite linebackers, Fred Warner. Solid secondary play. Quarterback, not going to kill you, not going to bless you. Running back game, solid. Left tackles that are future Hall of Famers that are out. I look at them, I look at the Cowboys, I look at the Eagles. I see very similar teams. Talk to me.
Rank the offenses of the 3 teams you just listed based on what we've seen these 5 weeks.
Good question.
Eagles, Niners, Cowboys.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Like that.
Who's number 1?
Eagles.
I have the Eagles above those 2 other teams.
Eagles,
right
Niners.
now. It's a long season. Dak Prescott's going to factor into this. Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo will develop a better rhythm.
Injuries.
And their injuries are a fact as well. Like, all of that matters. But right now, of the 3 teams you listed, the Eagles are easily the most impressive. Not just because they're 5-0.
But here's where you get to the question of
I can be nice sometimes. Yeah.
Shady, lastly, where do you stand on the concerns defensively? You've seen the...
For us?
Yes, you've seen the Eagles give up late runs to the Arizona Cardinals last game, going all the way back to week 1. If we're going to talk about the Cowboys' struggles week 1, we too must talk about the Eagles' struggles week 1. Going all the way back to the Lions, giving up 35 points in that game. Clearly, a couple of those touchdowns came late. Where do you stand on the fact that, at times the Eagles can get gashed, where you see a team like the Cowboys, the Niners, that never get gashed to that degree?
It's a long season, right? I think they have a solid defense. They can always get better. Each player can always get better. I'm not worried about the defense for the Eagles. If I look from the front to the back, they look good. Up front, they look good. They get pass rush from Hassan Reddick. He gets busy.
Graham,
Cox,
Harder.
they get busy. And then on the back end, they got They got probably the best secondary in the league. Top 3.
Yeah, up there.
So I can't really worry about that because one thing about football is that you learn each week. Okay, so boom. All right. Cardinals did this better, right? They adjusted. They made some good adjustments in that game. I give them credit for that. But then on defense, you learn from that. Okay, so now going forward, we can do this different with the linebackers. We do this different with the secondary. You can find ways to make your team better. So I'm not worried at all.
Well, one thing we did realize...
6-0 on the way. Sorry about that. I had to say that.
Calling it now.
Can you save your voice?
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.